I am truly thrilled to have with us today a very distinguished guest. He is retired Lieutenant General Ashok Shivane. Let's listen to him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show. What I plan to speak to you and your esteemed audience. Firstly, greetings of the day and Jan. I know it must be 9 o'clock around at your end and
Yes, it is.
18:30 at my end, but across the globe, greetings for whatever time it is. Pleasure to be here. So what I'm going to actually speak on is going to be my journey in uniform and my reflections and lessons that I have learned or imbibed over 4 decades as such. In fact, 6 decades, if you say, since I was born in an army background.
All right.
But before that, let me just say a few words on my alma mater, which is the Indian Army, which is, I think, one of the most esteemed institutions of India and globally recognized, and the essence of armed forces. What are the core values? What are the beliefs? Why do they perform repeatedly to the nation's expectations? Even when everything fails under adversity, why are they called and they never fail the nation? Every year, periodically, I would say, national polls, people's opinion are held to identify which is the most respected, credible, trusted, and organization in which people have maximum faith. And evidently, over the years, repeatedly, the armed forces top this poll. Why? Why is it the final bastion? What's so special about it? A lot of my friends, civilian friends, who are awed by it, yet they want to clarify this mystic view about it, that what's so special? And I often tell them, I said, it is the core values which is of the Indian Armed Forces and Indian Army in particular, because they are a true reflection of the Indian Constitution. Why? Because firstly, they are apolitical as an institution. I go to vote, I may have a preference, but as an institution, my allegiance of the army is to the Constitution of India, and my supreme commander is the President of India. No names, no political parties. It's the Constitution of India, nation above all. And that's the important thing. And along with that, as we evolve to be a global power, I would say, and very much on the right path to it, we have to also be cautious of two things: the politicization of the military and the militarization of the polity, because these are two very, very, poisonous aspects which can dilute the nation and its armed forces standing. I'm sure it won't happen, but these are cautionary things, challenges which will come up. The second core value on which the Indian Army stands tall is that it is secular. Secular in the sense it is an example of unity in diversity. I have been to a mosque, I have been to a Gurdwara Sahib, I have been to a temple several times, and I have been to a church where my men go and pray. And most of our units, which are mixed class today, have something called a Sarv Dharam Sthal, or in English, a joint institution of all religions for prayers. And we celebrate each festival with a lot of josh, with a lot of pomp and show, because we are brethren in arms. we realized that we were not born with a religion. Man made a religion. Minute you got your senses open your eyes, you were told you are X, Y, Z. But when you go to war, your soldiers, your brothers in arms. So you secular character is a very, very critical aspect, deeply ingrained into the Indian Army and Indian Armed Forces. When I say Indian Army, I mean Indian Armed Forces. The third aspect, which is very peculiar, is integrity, personal and professional integrity. It's not all about money. It's about the nation. It's about my unit. I'm not letting it down. It's about my tricolor. I'll never let it down. I'd rather give my life to it. I'd rather not say it or do things for my personal benefit, knowing that the organization will suffer. So there is a personal and professional integrity which is most important. And camaraderie and bonding of the lead. That's the strength. Many armies I've seen, and I've been in a UN mission where I've operated with people from different nations, officers, men. And what I've found is pardon me, the bonding between the officers, JCOs, and men of the Indian Army is the finest. It's a team. When you go to war or you go for an operation, say anti-terrorist operation, you don't go by your titles. You go as soldiers, soldiers with different responsibility. My responsibility is to lead and make sure my men perform and get back home. And if they, for some reason, we have casualties, make sure they also got back home.
Yeah.
So there is camaraderie, there is bonding. That is a very important factor. And what distinguishes a military leadership from others? That's another aspect. Look, a military leadership is pitched at a higher level. It's about life and death.
Yes.
Willingness to die. It's not a fait accompli. When you go for war and you see the enemy firing on you, you still carry out a charge at them to dislodge them and kill them and win back your post. It is not about life. It is about making sure your nation stands tall. So it's pitched at a much higher level. You sign when you join the Indian Army or Indian Armed Forces, you sign an unlimited liability contract, a check of your life with no dates attached. So that is the sort of a joy and sacred institution of this organization. Regimentation. A unit or a regiment is my first home because I spend maximum hours there. It's a sacred home. We call it in Hindi Naam, Namak or Nishan. That is our loyalty to where we stay, a loyalty to the home that feeds us, our loyalty to the flag under which we fight, Naam, Namak or Nishan. Why the young officers like Saurabh Kalia, second Saurabh Kalia, Captain Vikram Batra, Second Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal in 71, all 20 years old lad, 20, 21 years lad. Why did they show so much of bravery under adversity, knowing that they're going to lose their life, but yet fought on? Because there was this unit, this sacred home. They could never let it down. There was this tricolor, which they would never let it down. They would never come back to say, let this down. They rather die on the battlefield than do this thing. And then there is imandari, wafadari, or ekta. So these are something which is very well ingrained and which is taught to us during our training thing. And it was there in Indian Military Academy from where we passed out. It was a Chetwood motto, credo as we call it, which was written by Field Marshal Sir Phillips Chetwood, sometimes in December 1932 when this institution was made. And it read that the safety, honor, and welfare of your country comes first, always, and every time. The welfare, honor, and comfort of your men that you command comes next. Your own ease, comfort, and safety comes last, always and every time. These are the ethos on which we were trained, brought up, motivated for the thing. And therefore, it has lessons beyond soldiering. And that is something I want to convey to all of you. It's not just about forge, it's not about just it. The lesson is, look, you were born to live, that's bound to happen. And you are destined to die, that is bound to happen. But make the journey in between worth reading and worth inspiring. It must be something that you must feel proud of and leave behind a legacy for the nation, for a family, for a society. That is very important. And therefore, you can be a soldier of the nation, various uniforms. You can be a doctor, you can be engineer, you can be whatever, in different security. You can be a soldier in different uniforms. And be responsible and be a proud Indian with the ethos of nation above all. You're not going to carry any riches with you. You're not going to carry any wealth with you, but you're going to leave behind a legacy which says that he was a soldier who loved his nation and who did a lot for his nation. So that are the lessons that I read from the point of view of my wonderful institution for which I was blessed to join. So
thank you so much for this, sir. It is really very good of you to boil it down in simple terms and aim it not just at not just describe the armed forces, but to tell us what it means for civilians. I think that's very important to keep in mind. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'll dwell a little bit on my life in Forge, which is Forge's Army, and my reflections of leadership and the message that I have for the future generation. Actually, my life's journey called Forge is a story of womb to tomb, because I was born in an army family, and till my last breath, I will be a soldier for life. I may not be donning the uniform, but the uniform has gone deep in me, in my blood. If you cut my veins, olive green blood will flow, not red. So that's the attire of a soldier for life that I donned. So I was born in a Fauji family, which was an eternal blessing of God. And my upbringing was molded by the selfless ideals of a soldier, the love for the nation, and the dream of being a tank man. I always, my heart beats for it, always. My father, Indian Army officer, in fact, he was a freedom fighter initially in a younger day in college. Then he joined the Royal British Engineers as an officer with the British Army, fought the World War II. And when I started realizing what is the world, when I used to see him in uniform, he was my hero. His conduct, at that time it was cotton uniform, crisp and wonderful to look at, made us proud. My mother was a ideal, dedicated army wife, and to me, she was an angel on earth. And therefore, in this environment of positivity, with my elder sister and my elder brother, they were twins, we grew up. We saw many adversities. My father was missing, dead or alive, not known, for 3 months in 1962 operations.
Wow.
So the man, but my mother always was a pillar of strength. She told us, don't worry, he's going to get back. Don't let your faces down. Your father is a soldier. He'll get back. And he did after completing his mission. I lost my elder brother at the age of 20, a soldier, a second lieutenant on the Chinese border. And you can imagine what happens to a family when that happens. Yet, each one of us were proud that he was part of the family, and that made us stronger. I still remember my father never shed a tear in front of us. I know that many a times he would go to the washroom and cry, but never in front of us. So we grew up in such an environment where we were, life is not a straight line. If it's a straight line, ECG is a straight line, you're gone. So it's got its ups and downs, but it made us stronger. Each one of these things made us stronger. I used to accompany my mother to the military hospital soon after 1965 and 1970 war, because she would carry some goodies and cheer up the war wounded and carry me along and take me along to their places. And I used to be absolutely amazed at their positive dispositions and the valor of these officers, JCOs, and men. Some were amputated, some were so badly injured, multiple bullet wounds, and they would smile at you and they would joke at you with you, and they'll still be very, very positive. And my adrenaline levels used to go up that, look, this is soldiering, this is valor, So that's the sort of environment. And when you used to return or travel in the military camps, at the crossroads or at the entrances of army establishment, there were the army tanks which were placed. And whenever I used to see this army tank, something would happen to me. I would just gaze at it. And in my heart, I would tell myself that one day I am going to be the master of this great machine. I made up my mind.
Okay.
I was just awed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started dreaming at that young age, maybe class 5, class 6, in a convent school, that then my destination is here. And so after school, though I qualified to join a reputed medical college, I decided to join NDA and don the uniform.
Okay.
And I was totally supported by my parents. I was a little chary initially because of the loss of my brother, and now the only son left. And as I told you, it's a profession of life and death. But I still remember my father. He asked me, he said, son, where does your heart beat? What is your passion? I told him, you know it. It's Indian Army, and my heart beats for the tank. He said, just go ahead. Don't think about it. Don't think of becoming a doctor. You have it in you, and go ahead.
Yeah.
So that is the manner in which my upbringing, my youth developed. And therefore, my lesson to the youth across is, one is stay positive, stay brave against all adversities. Unless you climb a hill and come down 10 times, you will not have the joy of reaching the top. Life is not about a straight line. It's about going through tough times and standing tall and facing it bravely with positivity. And every failure is another try for success. Second thing that I need to flag here is dream big. Dream with your eyes open. Let your dreams scare you. But work hard to make your dreams come true. I did that for being a tankman. I did that. It is not that I used to sleep and get up and say, I dreamt of this. I used to dream with my eyes open. So that is important. And lastly, when I look at the soldiers and all, sharing and caring is the essence of life. To be a good soldier, to be a good general, to be a good officer, you have to be a good human being first. That's very important because it's all about leadership without titles. It's a leadership from the heart and the mind to lead the men and earn respect. So that is very important of sharing and caring. So that's how my schooling and life evolved. And thereafter, my life in uniform, I would actually describe it under 5 stages of evolution or 5 stages of transformation. The first was National Defense Academy. The second evolution stage was as a young officer, a young tankman, finding his feet, being grounded. The third evolution was a middle-level officer commanding subunit and a unit. The fourth was being a senior-level officer from a 1-star to a 3-star general, and ending up as the Strike Corps Commander and as the Director General of the Mechanized Forces of the Indian Army. And my 5th stage of evolution or transformation, whatever you must say, is becoming a re-attired officer after 4 decades of life, not necessarily being distinguished or extinguished, but continue to serve the society and the nation in a different manner. So with your permission, can I go ahead and speak on these 4 stages, which are very, very deep in my heart?
Please do so. And my only request would be to tell us about Kargil.
Yeah, I'll tell you about Kargil. I was there in Kargil.
In whatever way you want to, but please go.
I will tell you. That is part of one of the stages that since I was there in Kashmir at that time. Okay. So my stage 1 was NDA. So I joined NDA at the age of 70, right from a schoolboy. At times the fashion used to be bell bottoms. I had long hair because that was fashionable. And I was a stage of a teenager with infatuations of pretty girls and going out. And suddenly I had to join National Defense Academy, and something which I always owed. And I didn't join National Defense Academy. The first thing as I reached, was I was given a zero cut. A zero cut is you just remove all your hair and just make you like put a skull cap and remove everything and put that. And you're told to lift your big steel trunk on your head and move to the place where you were allotted to stay and carry on with your trainings. And all this happened to everyone who's arriving in that bus, which picked us up from the railway platform and brought us through NDA. And after we went through this and we're carrying our trunks, the steel trunks, we all look the same monkeys. When you see monkeys of the same age group, same thing, you can't make out who's who. Okay. And that had a message because they wanted you to come down irrespective of from where you came, what was your caste, religion, your social background, to a common denominator. The common denominator into which you were thereafter going to be molded. Molded from young boys into a mold where you would be made men, and from men to motivated soldiers. Life in NDA was not easy. It's not easy. But it was something which tested you physically, made you realize that there is much more physical endurance in the body than we ever imagined. But more importantly, it taught us the importance of mental agility and mental endurance. I still remember, though I was a swimmer, but many of my course mates never used to swim. We were made immediately to go down on the 10-meter board and jump into the swimming pool. When you go on a 10-meter board and you look at the swimming pool, it seems that certainly you're going to fall aside. It looks so small. But then it taught us you take the first step and you're in it. So the first step, taking the first is the most difficult. And that was the teaching. That things may look difficult, but when you take the first step, everything works out fine. Right? So it's all mentally. Similarly, a lot of, we used to have physical fitness tests, cross country. We would go running up and down the hills and it would never finish. I remember it seemed a never-ending race. But then at the end of it, when you finally did finish, because after some time your body moving automatically, your mind had switched off, and you were just carrying on. That is it. And when you finish, you realize what a joy it gave you. What a joy it gave you to come on the finish line and be able to listen. And more importantly, it was not that I was finishing it there, but when we went as a squadron or a group from the same organization, we were divided into, that time we were into 12 squadrons, where it was an inter-squadron competition. But it was more important that not how many came in the first 10, but all those 120 odd, in what group did they come together so that they won for the squadron. So it taught us the importance of team spirit. Leaders don't win, the team wins. That is what the message was. So the lesson we learned was discipline, physical and mental discipline. A secular character, because we never looked at anyone else besides a cadet, a friend, and something which is never a political or a secular look at it. And if any one of us, several times things happened, that one of us made a mistake, maybe fully, and when we were all hauled up from the same term as batchmates, we never let anyone down by saying that he's the one who made mistake. We all went through it together. Yeah. We all went through it together, and knowing who had done it, but never let it be known to the others who were punishing us or were threatening us to be punished. So that is the sort of bonding team spirit which continues today. If someone tells me today also, and I don't know him, maybe junior or senior, I'm ex-NDA, a special force of bonding immediately develops. Then it taught us time management. Can you imagine? 4 o'clock, get up, quickly have your tea, strawberry biscuits, do your morning chores, get ready, go for physical training, PT, and maybe even drill after that. Come back, have a bath, get ready, go down, have breakfast, come back, get ready into your uniform, put your books in the satchel for the day, cycle down to the class and be there. All that after your physical training, in 50 minutes, you were doing that. 3,000 seconds to be precise. And you're doing all this.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So you're doing all this, and you were eating. I mean, the sort of gigantic appetite you had. So your bread and porridge and all was unlimited, but you had limited eggs, sausages, and ham and all those. If you were non-vegetarian, vegetarian, they had their own. But yet, you had 8 to 10 bread with all this thing, and you carried another 4, 5 with your jam into your satchel to have it en route. And all that I told you, coming back, having a bath, getting ready, hearing books, everything else. And then when you used to travel and cycle, we had to travel in a group of 6 with 3 rows of two guys in each column. And if we were out of sync, we were stopped. Instead of riding the cycle, we had to put the cycle on our shoulders and start running to the class. So, and that also we had to be in time for the class, because if you were late, again, you were in for a punishment. So that is the sort of time management, camaraderie that NDA taught us, besides the important factors of basic military training. And it taught us above all the ethos and the credo of National Defense Academy, service before self. So that was NDA. And then 1 year in IMA, where we opted for the choice of arms. In my case, I opted for Armored Corps. It was a very, very strict competition, because Armored Corps was among the top selection, and very few used to be fortunate to get it. I was fortunate to get that as such. The next stage of my evolution came as a young tankman and a proud cavalier when I joined my regiment, 7th Light Cavalry. That's a regiment which was raised in 1784. And you can imagine from then, it's got the highest number of battle and theater honors, and it's got the highest, possibly one of the highest levels of gallantry awards in the Indian Army. A very fine regiment. And that, when I joined, it was my stage of grooming and grounding as a tankman. It was all about mud and grease. It was not that Saab aa gaya, second lieutenant Saab aa gaya. I joined, I stayed for 3 months with the men in the same lines that they were there, to come to know what are their problems, equate with them, and understand what are the dynamics. I was not called second lieutenant, I was called Mr., because I had not qualified for my young officers course as yet. I had to prove myself. And my maximum learning I learned from my men and my JCOs whom I stayed with. They used to put me through inside out of a tank and tell me, साहब जी सीख जाओ, आपकी वर्दी अभी साफ है. Till the time I was soaking in sweat and I was covered from face to my feet in grease, they would not let me go. They made me understand every nut and bolt of tank, its gunnery, its shooting skills, its driving skills, its fault finding, its operations, its tactical command. I learned it from my men. And when I learned it, they started respecting me, because I started outperforming them. Then they said, "Ye hamara saab hai." So then only you are accepted. And it's a man-machine interface. You are not only professionally proving yourself in front of your men, not proving, you're actually telling them that you would be as good a leader to lead them, giving them confidence. But you're also rubbing shoulders with your men on the playing field. That's important, because playing field is again a great bonding. You're rubbing shoulders, pushing them, tackling them in hockey and football, and at times even abusing them in Hindi. But it's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. And at the end of it, irrespective of the side you're there, you hug each other, and you have your snacks, and you have your drinks, and you enjoy yourself. So this is a stage where you have to work hard to earn respect as a leader of men you would lead. And also, being in the Armored Corps, we have a lot of cavalry ethos. And the ethos is work hard, play hard, and party hard. It's a on and off thing. So we have very formal dinner nights, guest nights. We wear our blue patrol, we wear our spurs, we're smartly dressed. But then we party also. We let our hair down. But next morning, when you have uniform, we are different guys. So there's an off and on button that comes on. So lessons at this is that for your audience is, firstly, people matter most. Leadership is all about leading people, grooming them, and giving them opportunities to become leaders of tomorrow. That sort of thing. It's about a confidence, a trust, a belief that your men have got in you, that he will lead us under adversity, under bullets, and he will be up front, and something happens, he will get us back home also. So it's leadership without any titles. It is not second lieutenant, captain, major, colonel who's leading. It's a leader who's leading. It's a team that wins. And there are no shortcuts for hard work. Respect has to be earned. Trust and belief has to be earned. And that man-machine interface, technology as a force multiplier, all these are important. But remember, when you talk of technology as a force multiplier, and I'm a great fan of technology and kept myself abreast with technology, including today what AI has got offers, transforming the armed forces. But remember, technology is a force multiplier. It multiplies the force. So never forget that it is the force. What happened in Israel against Hamas? They went in technology, they forgot the man behind. And he became weak and depended too much on technology, and things didn't go wrong. So never forget that. And my last point for people to understand my view as a young officer in the regiment's grooming is always have your blood group as B positive. It's essential. It's essential. You must have a romantic view of life. Live life king style. Yeah. Be positive. Be positive. Be a man of the heart. Yeah. Think from the head. Yeah. But see the positivity. Don't be a cribber. It doesn't help. Yeah. Be an achiever. Be an achiever. And for that, you have to have a blood group be positive. Okay. Now I'll come back to my stage 3, which I'll speak to you on Kargil also. Okay. Because when Kargil happened, I was in Srinagar. I was the G1 operations looking after the anti-militancy desk, and I saw it first happen. I was part of the planning procedure to make sure that the parties were evicted. So I'm first-hand privy to what actually happened there, and I shall tell you about that. So this is the stage 3 of my middle level from a major to a colonel, which is basically from about, at those times, from 10 years to about 22 years, I became a colonel. So my professional growth and gaining ground level experience, both within and outside the regiment, took place during these years. It helped me to have a sharp mind. It helped me to have spark in my eyes, helped me to have passion in my heart, broad shoulders, and fire in the belly. That is how I grew up as a leader of subunit and unit. There were challenges. With challenges, I took part in Op Rakshak Punjab, anti-militancy job as a major, an operation where I was deployed against anti-militancy operation in Fatehgarh South district of Punjab. And we did carry out some operations, and may not be correct to classify too much of that. And then I was given operations of Op Rakshak Jammu and Kashmir at that time, in charge of planning and conduct of anti-militancy operations. And many times, many misses took place, and therefore I am in front of you, irrespective of the ambushes or whatever one had to face. But besides that, I also was given the task of carrying out internal security, aid to civil authorities, as we say, in quelling a violent mob in Samana during the Mandal Commission riots, which was something like the town burning, the civil administration runoff, the police having deserted, the crowd was in a frenzy, and there was this Major Ashok Shivane with his 40 men who went into the crowd. And I had two options: to be strong with them or be show compassion to them and get their tempo down to mine and make them talk. And so anyway, that's a different story some other day, but I could manage that with getting everyone back to their homes and without any further disturbance. Now I'll get you to what happened during Kargil that day. So this was the year 1999 when it happened. I was I told you, in Kashmir. And initially we started getting some reports of our patrol saying that there is some movement which is taking place, which is not part of it. And this was early in the month of April, May. Okay. February also we noticed something, but that was normal because post-winters build-up used to take place, some movement. But April we found some irregular sort of a movement. And we sent in certain sorties because that's the time, April, May, when these shepherds, we call them bakarwals, they come for the grazing and the care. So there is some movement which is taking place. And they create some ad hoc sort of thing called sangars, where they stay put while the grazing is taking place. But then we saw a certain pattern which is evolving, which is relating to the road passing from Srinagar to Leh at near to Kargil, which can cut off Kargil and pose a threat to cut off towards Siachen, because Siachen we had taken the great initiative advantage in 1984, and Pak is on the in the wrong side. And when this happened, I think it was around 7th of May, yeah, 5th we decided in the operation. 7th we sent a patrol to check up physically on ground, because we through helicopters you can't get everything detailed. In those times, the surveillance was not so precision in terms of resolution. So we sent there, and this patrol nearly got wiped out. These were the days when Saurabh Kalia and all were totally ambushed. And then we realized the situation is bad. And we had militancy going on, 97 to 99 when I was there. There were foreign militants. Militancy was at its near peak. Every day there were major operations going on, and we had to change the internal security anti-terrorist grip, give it to the BSF, CRPF, and the J&K police, lift our soldiers from these inner areas and from other areas, from the rear, build them up and send them up front to Kargil, because as much as we would delay, it would become impossible. And then we started seeing the Pakis who were singing songs of Musharraf, and just the president at that time of Pakistan at that time was just wanting peace and tranquility and harmony. And on the other side, Musharraf, along with his generals in a close group of generals in POK area, planned this, and he knew it was a do or die situation. But somewhere he felt that if he captured those heights, it was humanly impossible for anyone to dislodge them. And if he would do that, Kargil would be cut off, and he would have an advantage in Siachen, which was a disadvantage presently to them because Indian Army had occupied and was dominating them. But what he didn't realize is the spirit and the valor and bravery of the Indian Army. So when we moved them, we realized that there were these peaks, 15,000, 17,000, 19,000. Tiger Hill, steep, and they had come and sat on it, camouflaged themselves, and they had their automatics, everything. We had to dislodge them. There was no question of their being in Indian territory. There was absolutely no question. It was not do or die situation. It was a situation of eviction and punishment to these guys who dared to do that. The first thing we did, before we did assaults there, which is suicidal assaults, if you may say, was to cut them off logistically and to pound them with artillery, to break them mentally and to tell them they're isolated. There was a diktat because two nations, the first time that two nuclear nations had gone to war. So this diktat which is put on us, right or wrong, is not here to debate, that we could not cross the line of control. So we had to evict them from our own territory, but not yet get across and go behind and isolate them. Much would that I would have liked to do. But then bravery, valor, and Indian Army young blood drew their spirit, carried the national flag, the tricolor, evicted them, maybe at higher casualty, but evicted them. And they were absolutely amazed that impossible has been made possible. And they were evicted and they were ashamed. They even did not pick up their wounded, war wounded, and the war dead. Imagine an army not honoring its own soldiers. And some of them, they even disowned them. We picked up their identity cards of the Northern Light Infantry, showed it to them that this is your soldier. Please take him. We'll stop. We'll give him, please respect him. Send him to your families. They refused that they're not our soldiers. So we had, as soldiers, to do the last rites in a soldierly manner for these war deads and look after the wounded. Because after all, they were soldiers of their own nation. And we respect soldiers. They have been our enemies. We killed them, yes, because they threatened us. But then that soldierly ethos was there, which was missing in them. So that was about Kargil, you know. And then I took part in Exercise Brass Tacks, Operation Trident, Operation Parakram. From Kargil, I came down to command my unit in the deserts. By that time, we moved to the border in Operation Vijay. So it was a lot of leading from the front, courage, and valor, ingenuity. That was happening as such. So those were the issues which are there. So my lesson is, firstly, who dares wins, who sweats wins, who plans wins. And planning is more important than plan because, plans can change, but planning is very important and it helps you to adapt. The second lesson which I hear is that fear is an acronym, it is face everything and run or fear everything and rise. I learned this under the anti-terrorist operations as such, where we were targeted also. So it's not that I'm also human. When you face bullets, I also felt scared. I'm not shy. But I didn't tell anyone except me that I was scared. And I had to get out of that. So I had to either rise, charge in against the bullets and make the one who was creating the fear being feared, or be status quo and be a target. So the better was you picked up your weapon and you charged towards them, and the hunted became the hunter. So that is something which is important in life. Never let fear overtake you and freeze you. Rise and face the fear. There's a very fine dividing line between risk and danger. Very fine. Many times you have to take decisions. And most of the time, because of shortage of time, it's all intuitive. So, and based on your experience. So the line between risk and danger is very little. Yet, you have to take decisions, right or wrong, because status quo is the show killer. So therefore, decision making at that level becomes very important. But along with this, your power and your authority comes transparency and accountability, primarily to yourself and to the men you command. It's not necessarily to your superiors. It is first to yourself, to your conscience, to your pillow, which you're going to put your head down in the night, if you have time to do that, to say that you have done the right thing, and to your men, to face them in the eyes. And then later, it's for the senior officers to assess. I'm not working, we don't work for, just to impress. We work to make sure of this thing. So that was my third stage of evolution. I hope it's making some sense to you.
Well, very much. It is, I would say, very clear, and I won't comment because I'm not the speaker, but what I'm saying is you are very clear and it's very interesting. So please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So my fourth stage of evolution was at the operation and the strategic level, which was from a brigadier to a lieutenant general, from a 1-star to a 3-star general, from a tactical leader, graduating to an operational leader, and thereafter becoming a strategic level leader. So to do that, it's very important, whether in the army or otherwise, as you grow, you have to have an understanding which is 3 up and 2 down. So you should be able to look at whatever your levels are at 3 up and envision what is at that level of plane. If I'm an operational level, I should be able to understand operational, strategic, and national level. Yet, I have to be grounded to see 2 levels down, so that I don't speak or do things in the air. I do it with understanding of ground realities. And that is where operational and strategic leadership comes. As a brigadier, I formulated the Western Front strategy along with my corps commander. A great learning at that time with General AK, who was my corps commander. I was his brigadier general staff. And we formulated the Western Front strategy for the Indian Army. As a brigadier, I formulated the preparation of the battle space for the Indian Army. I was always known as a thinker general and a grounded general who preferred to eat stevia and shakarpara and work throughout 24/7. So my juniors used to be ashamed, amazed that, sir, when we send you a 2 pages writing a proposal, you send it back to us with 4 pages of red. So what do you do? So it was a learning. I learned from them and they learned from me. So that's how it was. I was Major General when I commanded my division, an armored division. I looked at war endurance, and I commanded the Army Division as a Major General, and I was Additional Director General, Prospective Planning of the Indian Army in the Army Headquarters as a Major General. So I looked at war endurance, which is today you see in the Russia-Ukraine war. You know, I looked at the right sizing and rebalancing of the Indian Army, which is happening today. I looked at a future operation philosophy 2030, and this was in 2012 when I'm talking about 2012, 2013. I looked at future capability building and technology perspective for the Indian Army. So I always had a fad for keeping my feet on the ground, but envisioning the future and understanding that how must the Indian Army and the Indian soldier evolve himself for the future. We don't want to fight tomorrow's war with yesterday's mindset and yesterday's tactics, yesterday's organization. We have to evolve. And that has been something which is very, very important to my mind. And then I became a Lieutenant General. I commanded a strike corps, the oldest strike corps, which is responsible for offensive on the Western Front. And then before I hung my spurs, I was the Director General of the Mechanized Forces, something which I often laugh that I wanted to command one tank as a schoolboy, and here I was commanding all the tanks of the Indian Army with God and mankind. So, and I did a lot of work in terms of technology, information warfare, ISR, policy relook at defense procurement procedures, Make in India, the policies for mechanized forces, general operations, the future employment induction in Ladakh, the technology upgrades, the light tanks, which has all come true today, an important part of our operational matrix. But besides these operational things, as you grow and become senior leaders, it is very important that you also look at the aspects of administration in peace, the quality of life of your command, the accommodation, the medical facilities, the education, the training infrastructure, the technology threshold, the opportunities to the family, to the children. That's your responsibility. You're not only a leader of men through going to war, but you're also a leader of men to ensure the quality of life of your men and their families. Because this is an extended family. Their children are part of our extended family. You have to also have a vision and envisioning the future. Wherever I went, as a brigadier, as a major general of a division, and a co-commander of a strike corps, the first thing I did was to take out a document which went down to every single officer called, as a co-commander, I called it a strike one philosophy, which gave my mind out so that there were no ambiguities into my thoughts on war fighting, my thoughts on administration, my expectations from my officers in training, my expectations on aspects of character, integrity. So there was never a gap between the leader and the led. And then I made sure that I visited every unit and subunit to sit with them so that they don't have a fear of a senior officer and a junior officer. It always happens. You know, a lieutenant general coming and he's talking to a captain, the captain says, "Oh my God, I've never seen him. I don't know what's he going to ask me." But then you get on to his level, have two drinks along with him, laugh it out, and then you get many good lessons from him, where his aspirations may not be met, where he feels a lot of good things can be done. So you have to have a mindset where you are a good listener and you have to accept constructive criticism. You're not there to bounce your voice and listen. Then you'll never grow, organization will never grow. You also, as you grow senior and become a 3-star or a 2-star, you have to be men of steel, not men of straw.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by that? I mean that, and I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
In one of the war gaming, as yeah, I was a 3-star that time, a co-commander. I was told that you have to compress your operations in terms of time and achieve the same objective with the same sort of resources available. I was very clear that I will not be able to do that in war. It was not possible to do the same thing. So I stood up to my immediate senior and the senior most officer who was coming from Delhi. I told him, sir, if you say I'll do it on the blackboard, but I will never ever be able to do it in war unless you give me XYZ resources to compress the time frame and achieve the mission.
Okay.
And they were all my juniors sitting there when I said it in a hall to them. And there was silence because no one speaks so aggressively to a senior. You will be sorted out in no time, you know. But there is professional arrogance, which is supposed to be good to my mind. And there's professional integrity, which is important. You can never, ever say something which you cannot achieve, and your command knows that it is not achievable with the resources and the sort of environment in which you're going. So that drew a lot of respect thereafter, and people still tell me after retirement that we were rather amazed that you put a lot of people quiet. So therefore, this 5 C's, which is quality, is very important: character, competence, courage, commitment, and compassion.
Yeah.
And these only are very important things. So that was my evolution in uniform. And December 2017 comes, and I re-attire myself. So I was 60, but I was feeling like 35 because to my mind, age is not a cage. So I still felt motivated. I felt I was experienced. I still felt I could do a lot for the society. And it was my time to give back to the society as much as I could. It's also time for me to devote time for my family and for myself, because very frankly, upbringing my children, teaching them was all done by my wife. I had very little contribution because I was always out.
Yeah.
Let's see. So now I spend time, quality time and quantity time, both. Earlier it was just quality time. Now it was quality time and quantity time both for myself. And I started also looking at my own bucket list, which I wanted to do, for which I did not have time. But I was fortunate. As soon as I retired, I got picked up as advisor in Ministry of Defense for defense production issues for Ordnance Factory Board. I was there for 2 years with them. Then came COVID. I couldn't keep quiet, so I became a COVID warrior. I joined an NGO where we saved, I would say, hundreds and hundreds of people. I was also recognized by the UN, and many awards I got for during that period for helping people and saving lives. We organized ourselves like a military into groups, ambulance group, doctors group, a psychological group, hospital admission group, a plasma group, a transfusion group. So, and we all work 24/7. And because it was all online, we got a call and we activated and helped out the people as such. So that was COVID second wave. Then I did research for the Indian Army on future military training. and I wrote a book which became the international bestseller, which is right here
Okay.
in front of you. It's called The Professional Military Education, Making of the 21st Century Warrior. So it's been adopted by a large number of countries also. And it's also made a difference in the Indian Army carrying out certain changes. I started writing. I've got more than 150 odd periodicals, about 5 books. Last book, which I wrote in April this year, is called Heartbeats of a Tankman. This is something which was a bucket list because it's a book of poems. It's a book on poems, 57 odd poems as such. Then presently, I'm a strategic advisor to contribute to India's growth story of Viksit Bharat, a developed and a rising India. I'm part of the Economic Council of India as a strategic advisor to them for peace economy. I'm part of a strategic advisor of an organization called Central Association of Private Security Industry. And I'm evolving the national citizen security culture along with the Ministry of Home Affairs and Rajya Raksha University. I'm a strategic advisor to an organization called IBSEA, where we motivate youth for entrepreneurship and guide them how to evolve themselves. Besides that, I look at environmental issues. I do a little bit of my social service for special children and deprived families. And balance of the time, I cycle, I read, I travel, and I play golf.
You still have balance of the time. Where is this balance of time coming from?
So by NDA, came into this thing to do my time management, and therefore I could manage all these things. But more importantly, I feel that it's my time to pass it down and make an impact on the youth.
Okay.
And two, I think it's very important that after you retire, you should become distinguished, not a extinguished person.
Yeah.
So you should learn, unlearn, relearn, de-learn, and again relearn. It's life. There's so much to learn. And like I said earlier, age is not a cage.
Yeah.
So it's very important. Speak, write, sing, dance, party, do everything, and play games.
Yeah.
But most important, which I've been telling to all my friends who retire, is look, respect of the uniform and dignity of the rank must never ever be compromised.
Right.
Never ever be compromised. You have enough money for your needs, but never enough for your greeds. I got some wonderful offers in terms of money which I could never count. But then I questioned myself, and what were they looking at? If they were going to give me 12,000 US dollars a month, then they would ask me to at least make 30,000 US dollars a month for them. What did that involve?
Yeah.
It's all about business. So they wanted me, because of my rank, to go down to the ministries.
Yes, of course.
Play for them and make things come true for them. Whether it's a defense industry business house, or there was one of the Oman gas pipeline. They wanted me as the Asian head, but then I refused.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go to the same officers which I commanded and tell them, please give them business. All the respect that I earned in my 4 decades in uniform will go down.
Yeah.
I can't. That's why I say respect of the uniform and dignity of rank can never ever be compromised. And therefore, you have to be a soldier for life. Uniform may not be today dawning on me, but it is deeply ingrained in my soul. And so that is my long and short long life story. I can keep going on and on because it flashes in front of me.
Well,
Every moment.
maybe we'll have you back for another session. But I think it's your hard to catch. You're a very busy man, and I'm grateful that you have given me so much time. Any final words, sir?
Yeah, final word for you is across the globe, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, that be a soldier for life. In whatever sphere you are, be a good human being, be a responsible citizen, and do something, whatever your competence is, do something where you leave behind a legacy for your future generation to follow. And keep smiling and always have your blood group be positive.
All right. Well, let's end it here with that, sir. Thank you so much for this. I have some things to talk to you, but we will do that offline. And thank you once again for giving me so much time. It was a pleasure to listen to you, and I'm sure the viewers will be very happy. So let's say bye to the viewers. I just want to talk to you for a few minutes. Bye.
Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Yeah.